I am Michelle Michaels from ABC News. Today we're here at the Los Angeles Postal Office observing the annual drill against biotourism. This drill is done to prepare the employees and the community against potential biotourism attack. Today we have the head of administrator for the Los Angeles Hazmat Unit, James Fowler, and second in command, Jan Smith. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
How did you think this drill went today?
It went very well. We were able to execute the proper procedures and the desired outcome.
In the case of bioterrorism attack, what team gets called in first?
Okay, first of all, the public needs to know that biohazards can be colorless, tasteless, and odorless. If a bioterror attack was to occur, the National Center for Environmental Health, NCEH, and the Division of Emergency and Environmental Services, EEHS, has developed an all hazards public health emergency response guide to address this need. These public health departments should have immediate access to rapidly establish priorities and the necessary actions during emergency or disaster.
And what actions are taken by the responders upon arrival?
The action is to protect the public by surveying with specialized equipment, thus identifying potential hotspots and collect viable evidence.
Who might be the first to recognize a bioterrorist attack?
Bioterror attacks can be first recognized by anyone, but normally the first to respond are the local police, fire, and emergency medical service departments, because not all bioterrorism is always so noticeable immediately. In any case, if an act of bioterrorism has occurred, there is a CDC emergency response hotline that is open 24 hours so that the public health professionals can handle the incident properly. The number for those is 770-488-7100.
What approaches can be used to clean up an anthrax attack? And if you can give me the methods and if you find them to be effective.
Okay, there are a few ways we approach an anthrax contaminated area. First, the removal of all porous and non-cleanable items within the contaminated environment, because these items can become vehicles for transmission. It is also, if it is a closed area, such as a building, we use vaporized hydrogen peroxide or chlorine dioxide or paraformaldehyde, the same way as we would fumigate a house for insects.
We find these methods very effective. On top of that, anthrax has three key exposures: aerosolization, direct contamination of skin, outer layers of clothing and workplace surfaces, and indirect contamination of vehicles and home by spores transported by clothing and exposed skin. Emergency preparedness plans for certain facilities might include installation of local exhaust, ventilation at pitch points where aerosol can be generated. Using well-designed and maintained ventilation on all relevant processing equipment should capture aerosols as they are created and before workers inhale them or are contaminated by a deposition of spores.
This usually will reduce or even eliminate the need for personal decontamination of workers.
What protective measures should a hazmat personnel use for a probable anthrax bioterror attack?
These workers must take appropriate measures and wear appropriate personal protective equipment and follow procedures that are outlined in the CDC guidance documents. It is also required to conduct medical surveillance of the cleanup workers and the effectiveness and protective measures being used. CDC also recommends that cleanup workers receive antimicrobial prophylaxis regimens in conjunction or prior to the time of entry, continuing for at least 60 days after the final exposure to the contaminated environment. Current medications are Cipro 500 milligrams by mouth every 12 hours and doxycycline 100 milligrams by mouth every 12 hours. Replacement garments and shoes should be stored in an area that would be accessible for evacuation of the production area. This can include having employees bring a change of personal clothing and shoes for storage for appropriate locations, providing a supply of disposable clothing. All clothing and shoes removed after evacuation should be placed in a plastic bag and remain on site at a predestined location, pending on laboratory testing.
Also, employee training and drills can help ally employee anxiety about responding to a positive signal and improve the quality and efficiency of an actual response to a threat.
Do you think protective measures are necessary when you're working with animals?
Animals should be treated just like any other vehicle of transmission. Anthrax can be transferred from human to human as well as animal to human. The same precautions should be implemented just as any anthrax outbreak.
Thank you so much for your time, for being with us and answering some of the important questions.
No problem, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
This is Michelle Michaels signing off from Los Angeles Postal Office.